Eliza, can you do the oak monster? Oh, the oak monster.
Hello everybody and welcome to Wine Library TV. I am your host, Gary Vaynerchuk. And this, my friends, is The Thunder Show. And today's special big thank you goes out to Coca-Cola. Coke with lemon and lime. It's been getting me through 32 years already, and I'm loving it and continue to drink it, even though I don't want the extra sugar. I'm trying to lose weight, and the Coke with lemon and lime, it's killing me.
High fructose corn syrup is like sugar.
Yeah, right. So, anyways, very intense show today. Very happy about the subject matter. We're talking about Barbaresco, which is a Nebbiolo-based wine from the Piedmonte region, only 10 miles away from Barolo, but very different wines. Though they get clumped together quite a bit, Barbaresco and Barolo, they are very different wines. As a matter of fact, Barbaresco, well, not very different. Let me start with, they're both Nebbiolo, they're both from the Piedmonte region, but what happens with Barbaresco, it slopes down a little bit, so the sunlight hits it a little bit earlier, and so the wines ripen a little bit quicker. So you get softer tannins, ultimately, from the Barbaresco area. Now, what you need to know is a couple things. By DOCG law, they need to age for 2 years, one in oak at least. So that's one part of the process of becoming a Barbaresco. It has to be a Nebbiolo grape, which is a grape that a lot of you have started to enjoy as we've been presenting it more and more here on the Thunder Show. It must be at least 12.5% alcohol content by law, though most of them are climbing. This one's 14. This bad boy right here is 14. And this little guy right here, I like to call it a little guy, also 14. If it wants to be a Reserva, it's got to be aged for 4 years. But we're doing all straight Barbarescos here. But once again, remember, they ripen softer. The Nebbiolo grape, which is really doing amazing things with Barbaresco, Barolo, and also Gattinara, if you're a fan of that. Now, we've got two 2004 vintage Barbarescos here and an 05. 04 is considered in Piedmonte by most of the wine critics a little bit of a superior vintage to 05, so it'll be interesting to see how they rock out. We have the big-ass glass here, Mott, so you know it's a serious show. So I guess without further ado, let's get right into it. We're going to start with the Accardi 2004 Barbaresco, the Montebert. This one rolls in at 31 US bones, 90 points Wine Spectator, a very good price point for a Barbaresco. Barbarescos tend to roll in that $30 to $50 range, much more healthy in that $40 range. So finding a Barbaresco that rolls in at 31 bones with the press that this wine has is extremely exciting for me, Mott, you, the Ustream viewers, the Vaniacs out there, and everybody else associated with the Thunder Show. Now, one thing that you're always going to find is aromatically, these are very interesting wines. Smell this wine, it's really taken over the room already. Aromatically, I've always found Barbarescos to be quite interesting. There's a lot of interesting different flavors that can develop, from tar to truffle to rose petal to all sorts of interesting raspberry, cherry, really interesting fruit. Did you notice nice nose? I mean, I noticed it right off the bat. On the sniffy sniff, that's generation 4. On the sniffy sniff, very big nose, quite nice. I get a little bit of a rose petal that I referred to before. Get some sour raspberry thing going on in the nose. I do get a little functified action. Did you notice maybe a little bit like, not manure, but like maybe soil. Maybe like a rabbit pooped over there instead of a cow. Just a little, funk, little mushroom accent, little fungi mixing into the nose. Very bright raspberry, kind of sour raspberry. Interesting. Let's give it a whirl. Massive tannins. I mean, this is Pucker Town I just walked into. Where am I? Pucker Town. Very much puckering up the mouth, very dry, big, large tannin balls exploding in the back of my mouth. And who doesn't like that? Really interesting ripe raspberry, great cherry flavors. I get heavy tobacco on the mid-palate, which I'm appreciating. So if you like loose leaf tobacco flavors, you're going to really like this wine. The intensity is very direct and very polished. An interesting structured wine with very solid backbone and a blueprint for success is what I like to call it, because this wine is really an age-worthy wine. I would look for this wine to get much more exciting in the next 15 years, believe it or not, more so than now. Even with the opening and decanting and poured back in of about 2.5, 3 hours, this is still a very massively tight, monstrous, left, right, left combo. Oh, I'm a little bit in trouble, but I'm keeping, nope, I'm down. I mean, that serious of a wine. Good stuff. I like where this is going, but you've got to understand, unless you're looking for big, massive, structured, blow-you-away wines now, which a lot of you do, this is a wine that I think is a little too young at this point. If I was to eat this. If I was to drink this, I would eat it with really cheese at this point. I mean, this could really use some sharp Parmigiano cheese, really big, acidic mouth fat foods to really calm it down. All in all, very solid effort. I think the Wine Spectator did a very good job. I'm going to go right with them with 90 points and at 31 bones. I think a very fair price for a wine of this stature, really, even if you put 6 bottles away 5, 7 years from now, just laughing, like that kind of laugh that you paid 31 bones for wine that clearly in that 5 to 7 year window I think is going to be worth 100 bones. Let's move on. Good start, Mott. Liked it. Very, very tannic, though. Let's give it a little bit of a rinse. Just want to give a big shout out to everybody that's coming on the Thunder Cruise. I want to update you. I have solidified some second and first growth wines for the Thunder Cruise. The wine caliber of the vino that's going to be on this trip is going to be remarkable. If you don't know what I'm talking about, right above Wine Library TV, you can see the little boat moving. But Mott, because you've been lazy, partner, link it up. Let's do that. Let's make sure people scroll down. If you're watching on iTunes, which is a huge amount of viewership lately, if you're watching on iTunes, make sure you go to WineLibraryTV.com and check that out. Let's move on. The Patin 2004 Barbaresco. $36 US. David Barrett's number. Very underrated corner for New York Jets. 92 points. Antonio Galani, who writes for Robert Parker's Wine Advocate. He does the Italian reviews. He's a pretty tough critic, so 92 points is very exciting of a score from that wonderful wine critic that Robert Parker has been using for the last couple years for his Italian wines. Very nice color. Let's give it a sniffy sniff. Now, this is much more functified. I mean, this is barnyard, baby. I mean, this is like, let's go to Oklahoma, let's go to a pig and cow farm, and let's just go out there at 6 in the morning and go, that's the explosiveness of the barnyard that's coming through on this wine. Just really heavy doses of manure. I get some truffle action, though, on the nose, which is kind of making it interesting because I have said on many occasions, I love truffles so much that I would eat anything with truffles on top, maybe even pig manure, Mott. So, kind of interesting. Lizzie and I had truffled ice cream not too long ago, which was stunning.
Really?
Really interesting. It's not truffle season as much anymore now, but... So I get chocolate. I get a little cocoa chocolate thing going on now a little bit. A good shot of like truffles and the manure, that cow manure that I made such a big hoopla, did all that. Well, you know what? Be careful because it's starting to blow away a little bit now. But it's still present. But it's still a tighter nose, actually. Interesting. Let's give it a whirl. Also, extremely driven by a tannic tank. Just right through my palate. Great levels of tannins. However, this is a more concentrated, heavier level. Kind of like heavy cream compared to skim milk in texture in your mouth. That's how I kind of compare these two. This has more oomph. A little more, junk in the trunk, for lack of a better word. Really beautiful black raspberry flavors are dominating. I get a little hint of dates on the back end, which I think are completely seductive. Something that I think if anybody's been watching my show, realize I have not mentioned quite a bit. This has a very substantial date type flavor on the back end, which I'm finding extremely attractive. I also get a very smoky, earthy kind of thing going on, almost like a barbecue ribs aspect, but not the ribs themselves, just the smoke that you get up in your mouth when you stand over the grill. I felt like Muhammad Ali there. You remember he used to make that kind of face? Anyway, That'll be the last time I feel like Muhammad Ali. Anyway, very, very interesting, well-made wine, good structure, very long finish. As I'm yapping here and doing all this rumble jumble, I'm still tasting the flavor component, which is very interesting. I get like cherry skins on the back end. This date flavor is really still messing with my head because I'm not sure if I've ever used that tasting note on the Thunder Show, Matt. Good work. Barbaresco's really showing their merit here. If you're looking for really old world, well-made Italian red wines to go with also Busco or all those other beautiful classic Italian dishes, this is another very well-made wine. I'm going to go 90 plus on this bad boy. I'm not as hot on it as Galani is, just because it gets a little bit, I don't know, just not doing, you know, I think there's a lot of people who'd love this wine on a much higher level than me. I don't know what's holding me back. I don't know how to exactly articulate it other than I've tasted this before. But I just think a lot of people that are really into really high quality Barbaresco are going to really enjoy this wine. I'm a 90 plus, but my gut feeling in my heart and soul is that the majority of the Vaniacs watching out there would legitimately think this is a 92, 93, 94 point wine, and this would go over very well. I think the sweetness of the fruit would be very popular with the majority of the viewing public, and that's what's so imperative. One more time, I am a person that loves V8 juice. I am a person that really has an exotic palate with food, and I do not want to become a blueprint. Please do not go up to Gary's Scores, which is handled by the wonderful SS Chris. We appreciate that, Chris. I don't want to be a blueprint. I don't want you to go to Gary's Scores up there, though I do want you to go check that out because it's cool. And then sort by 90 plus points and seek those wines out. I think you need to really understand your palate and go out and try different things. And that's why I'm excited about this Barbaresco show, because I do know that Barolo and Brunello sell more than Barbaresco globally, and I think it's a very underappreciated opportunity with well-priced wines. And so I hope you continue to expand your palate. A little bit of Tabasco sauce on the back end of this wine. Still tasting on the finish. I hope you do continue to expand your palate, try different things, and most of all, not listen to a word I say. And I mean it. Other than try new wines, trust your own palate, and love your family. But other than that, don't listen to anything. Nothing. Zippo! Mott. Finally. Little rinse. Oh, that was nice. Little sound. We broke the other big-ass glass, so gotta be careful with this one. Beautiful. What we have here is one of the real superstars of Barbaresco, but a little bit more of a New World producer. Albino Rocca, 2005, the Brick Ronche Barbaresco, 56 US dollars, 92 points. Wine Spectator, 56. New York City linebacker. Oh, Vernon Golston, the new Jets linebacker. And all that other guy. What was it? ZG?
or something.
ZG or PT or what was it? LT. Anyway, beautiful color. Once again, let's give this a sniffy sniff because that's what we do on the Thunder Show. Very interesting nose. Pretty tight in comparison to the last two. I do get a little bit of a plum component coming through. I also get some black cassis coming through. But pretty tight. Definitely in comparison to the last two wines. The most aromatically challenged, and that makes me a little bit upset because I love the aromatics in vino. Yeah, just tight. Let's give it a whirl. This is a big boy. Wow. Now, if you're a New World lover, you love the cabs, you like the Syrahs, this is where you want to go. If you're ponying up for Camus Cab, or for Silver Oak, or for Paul Hobbs, or Ramey, all those cult wines out there, this is a wine you're going to probably want to seek out. Now, it's a little bit fruit bomby for me, but hold on. I want to call this raspberry licorice coming through. The tannins are softer than the last two wines, and I'm not sure that's a good thing. I do get a little bit of greenness on this, which I like. I get a little bit of a, celery, a little bit of a lettuce leaf kind of thing going on. I get a very concentrated, inky kind of flavor, almost like squid ink texture on the flavor. But you know what? even though I said squid, I do think it's a little bit lighter than the middle wine. Middle wine. I got to be honest with you, it's taking an interesting turn. The finish is kind of falling apart. I'm actually quite down on this wine. Albino Rocca, a producer that I've traditionally been very high on. Let me just give it one more shot. Pretty delicious on the initial attack, but then it falls apart like a bully in a schoolyard, right? Like, at first everybody's scared, but if you challenge and you win, that's kind of what's going on here. I feel like the palate challenged the wine and said, okay, good fruit, good flavor, you're delicious, but give me something else, you know? Sometimes you date somebody like that, Mod. Doesn't have it. And that's disappointing. To me, this is an 87-point wine. Just a run-of-the-mill, solid red wine, but for 56 bones, and in comparison to 2 Barbarescos that were almost half the price, it's kind of, it's a shame, really. It's kind of a very disappointing effort and a really tough way to close out a show that I thought was kind of going well. It was a lot of fun, but, gotta call them like I see them. And this one is not something I want to put the GB name behind. And so I'm going to give this wine a major Vayner Paz, throw up 8 Z's, and let's move on. This is really not something that you're going to want to go out and try. I think you're going to be disappointed. The finish is really quite disappointing. Belated happy birthday to Kayla Jones. I want to do that. Mott, looking good as ever. Appreciate you being here. Question of the day. Whether it's a Gattinara, a Barolo, a Barbaresco, maybe just a Nebbiolo straight from the Langhe. What was the last Nebbiolo wine you had? And give us a score and a tasting note. This is going to be interesting. I want to see how many comments we have here. You, with a little bit of me, we're changing the wine world, whether they like it or not.